Hello. I'm going to start out this time by saying, if my mind wanders a bit, please forgive me. This is the third time I've tried to record this, but my mind wanders in the middle of it until I go, and I just forget where I am. Last night, I got a really, really poor night's sleep. Even by my standards, it was a really, really poor night's sleep. So that's why I look a little bit more tired than I normally do. But I had to have a nap this afternoon, even if a short one. I just had to sort of drift off for a bit because I just couldn't function at all. It's been anyway. So while I was napping, I had this weird little dream, most of which I can't remember, and the reasons that it will lead me on to this won't become clear to you. But there's a guy in it who was, he's a Brexit leaver. He was an intolerant jerk off. We sort of fell out in this. I don't know who it was. I recognise his face, but I've no idea who. The way you do that in dreams, transpose faces and names and things. But anyway, this person was ridiculously intolerant, and for reasons that won't be particularly clear to you, this just made me think of millennials and the intolerance that is shown towards them. And I'm a Generation Xer. My parents were baby boomers, right? And it's a very, very, very sort of trendy thing these days to whinge and complain and moan about millennials and how easy they have it and how great their life is. So, first of all, just leave them the fuck alone, okay? Firstly, it's a very first world problem, isn't it, really, this complaining about millennials? I mean, we're not talking about poverty and hunger and disease and things. We're complaining about a bunch of kids that wear a certain type of clothes and spend too much time on social media. Ooh, the big bad wolf. Stop it. Just stop whinging about it. Every generation that comes along thinks that they are the first ones to be creative, right? They think they're the first ones to have really, really figured things out, figured out the way the world works. They know the way shit works, man. The generation before them got no idea, right? Every generation that comes along thinks that. But also, every generation that comes along thinks the next generation that comes along has had it easier than any other generation in history, right? And that they were the only ones that knew what it was like to have it tough. Firstly, that's true about the next generation coming along. Hopefully, that's what we're working towards, isn't it? Isn't that what we call progress? That the next generation will have life slightly easier than we did? That's the idea, isn't it? Right? Secondly, think of your parents and their parents. What did they complain about your generation? You don't go out enough. You watch too much TV. We didn't have all this TV when I was a kid. Generations before that, you read too much. I've been down this similar sort of road before. You see the way my sort of trains of thought run. But yeah, just leave them alone. It's never been so hard to buy a house as it is now, right? Particularly if you're a Generation Xer like me or older, right? You buying a house, way, way, way easier for you than it is for these guys. Now, it's almost impossible for millennials to get on the property ladder, right? Insuring a car can just bankrupt you these days. It's absolutely insane if you want to learn to drive. The costs are astronomical now. It's mental, but it's a common theme, isn't it? But this stems from pretty much anything, really. You can expand this into bigotry and intolerance of all forms because it all stems from something. I think it was either Peter Boghossian or Michael Shermer I saw, and they put it in a certain way that's always stuck with me since I saw this particular interview. And they said this kind of intolerance, this kind of bigotry and intolerance, racism, all these kind of things, they all stem from the same thing. And this hatred of millennials, to a much lesser extent, stems from the same thing again. It's this idea that there is a utopia, this place that we can get to somehow, that we could all get there and live happily ever after in sunshine and rainbows where nobody ever gets sick and nothing ever goes wrong if it wasn't for those people over there, or those people, or these people, right? That is where bigotry and hatred comes from. This utopia, this magical place you're all thinking of, it doesn't exist. And if it does, that is precisely the opposite of the way to get there. Okay? Bigotry, hatred, intolerance. If this utopia exists, that kind of crap is the absolute antithesis of this place you all want to get to. If we're ever going to get there, that's exactly how we're not going to make it. So just, I've just dialed it down a bit from bigotry and racism, but just go easy on millennials for a start. Start there. Start small.